Russell Wilson versus Sean Payton. Is that the dream week 1 matchup for the Denver Broncos as we're counting down the days till the NFL schedule is released? We're going to talk about that and much more about the Broncos schedule on the DNVR Broncos podcast, coming to you live from the Toyota Lounge inside the DNVR Bar. Toyota driving the front range. It's Toyota, the official vehicle of DNVR. We got Super Bowl 50 champ Todd Davis, Henry Chisholm, Alyssa behind the camera, and yours truly rocking and rolling with you today. How we doing, fellas?
It's a great day.
It's a great day. So we moved on from yesterday, from last night.
Oh, dang. I don't like to live in the past. You know what I'm saying? Every day is a new day.
I like that.
But if you want to talk about the past, let's talk about the past.
Oh,
Yeah.
I think the past
Super
might
Bowl
look
50
like
past?
the future too. What?
I said we look at Super Bowl 50 past or what?
That's too far, man. We got to have some. We can look last year. We look Nuggets championship.
Yeah, there we go.
I think that's as far as we need to go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
But what are the Nuggets going to do the next game? I don't know. I'm hopeful.
Yeah.
I like to stay hopeful.
Hopeful.
I
like to stay hopeful, but I don't know.
I've been thinking back to that Jazz series where they came back from down 3-1, where they just got smacked twice, and I don't know. Like it looks like they're done. Like Jamal he can't move. Like they've had him listed with that calf thing. It's the shin splints though, where it's like he legitimately just looks like he's moving at half speed out there. And I don't know what you do with that because you can't bench him because without him you're not going to win.
Well, they're going to say if you bench him, he's going to throw things on the court.
I wouldn't blame him. Well, I told you guys I would throw something on the court too if I was closer. Those refs were pissing me off. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, like you can't bench him, but also like there's no reason to think that by Friday he's going to be back. So it's tricky. But you win Friday and you're back in it.
Yeah, Friday's everything. And, if anyone can come back, it's the defending champs, and it's the team that has the MVP and the MVP of 3 of the last 4 seasons on it. So we're hopeful, but we're talking Broncos today because I'm sure a lot of people just want to put last night behind them and be hopeful for Friday. But we get to talk about another villain. Is Russell Wilson a villain? What is he in Broncos country this year?
I don't know if he's a villain.
No, he's not a villain.
Say he's a villain.
He
didn't do anything villainy, like try to steal the moon or. You know
exactly, but it's almost like goofier than that. It's almost like we watch The Simpsons and like Homer just causes like a meltdown at the nuclear plant or whatever, and everybody's like, "Oh, come on! Like, why'd you do that?" It's not like he's evil. It's just like, dude, you're better than that. Like, really, you know? I can't think of a good example though.
When you say that, I just think of Jamal Murray. I'm like, you're better than that, man.
Oh man.
He's. Do you think Broncos fans feel sorry for Russ? Do you think they blame Russ? Like, is it more positive or negative feelings toward Russ?
No, I don't think they feel sorry for him.
No.
I think anytime you get paid like that,
in 2
like
years?
you know what I'm saying? Yeah, they're not gonna feel sorry for you. I think they blame him a little bit. But then this year I think helped a lot with his production and his numbers. I think that helped his case a lot. If he had another year like the year before last, then everybody would say it was all his fault.
Yeah.
But I think he left with a little bit of grace. So he's not like a bad guy. I think he's like that reality TV star who's like just starts a little bit of mess on the show and everybody's kind of like rooting for them to get got one time. I think that's all they want to see.
Yep. And then they get kicked off the show, and then it's like, okay.
He really wasn't a bad guy. You know what I'm saying? He really wasn't.
He's more like Squidward than Plankton. And SpongeBob turds.
Yes.
Because like Plankton is like obviously just like evil.
Trying to be evil.
Exactly.
Yes.
Squidward just like, it's just annoying. It's just like a sad sack, you know? You just don't want to be around him. It just makes things worse.
I think you guys are hitting it right on the head. Although the Toyota chat not really agreeing. They're all saying they feel more negative about Russ, which, I can understand because they're pointing to the contract and saying Russ is the one that we have $85 million in dead cap moving forward. Said he did it to himself. And that's what makes this game so interesting is locally, I think Russ will be pointed to as not necessarily the bad guy, but kind of what you guys said, like, okay, whatever.
Nobody's going to like him.
Nationally, right.
Yeah.
But nationally, I think people look at this and say, Sean Payton's the bad guy. Look, Sean Payton was able to get 26 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. What more could you ask from Russell Wilson after bouncing back from the awful season he had the year before? And then Sean Payton screaming at him on the sideline. Sean Payton's asking him to take a pay cut or to change his his guarantees for injury middle of the season after beating the Chiefs. I think that's how this is going to be framed. It's going to be Russell Wilson against Sean Payton. I know the Broncos are going to have a new quarterback, and it might be first-round pick Bo Nix. It's not going to be Russ against Bo. It's going to be Sean against Russ, and that's exactly how this matchup's going to be built. And I think nationally, they're going to point to Sean and say, he's the bad guy.
I think it's going to be exactly like that.
Yeah.
It's going to be funny to see. I mean, it was Russ versus Nathaniel Hackett, really, when they went and played the Jets. We didn't hear a lot from Hackett before the game, but that definitely was the narrative. So I think it makes for great TV, and I would love to see it week one. It will be good.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I totally agree. Like, it's definitely going to be the Russ redemption story. That's how people see it. It's not about like, because it just isn't like triumphant for a coach to like go and like beat up on a former player. You know, it's not like a heartwarming story.
No, not like, heartwarming, but it is a good story.
It is.
Because when Nathaniel Hackett won and all the players like, F y'all, like, they
but
were
that's
hyped.
like plankton. Like, Sean Payton going out there and killing him, that's like plankton, not Squidward, you know? Like, that's the actual, like, bad guy. Like, that's evil, what he's trying to do. Like, from an outside perspective, the comeback story, the heartwarming story is Russ getting his revenge and moving on with his career. Right.
The more heartwarming story is Russ beating the Broncos. It's not Sean beating Russ, right?
Yes. I don't know if the world wants heartwarming, though. I don't feel like we're in that kind of world right now.
Especially, that's a good point. Just like generally a broad step. But then with Russ, I don't think Russ did himself any favors with Let's Ride and the Subway commercial and everything that got turned into a meme that first year that he was a Bronco.
Yep.
And then going all the way back to when he signs his extension and he with the Seahawks and he's in bed with Sierra, and that was very cringy. And I think the whole country for the most part is like they don't hate Russ, but like, man, is he an easy figure to just poke fun at? And
it's just crazy.
To your point, with society already being like that, and then you give him just the easiest person to kind of keep trolling.
Yep.
Yeah, maybe they don't want it.
Yeah, we live in an era where like beef is king right now. Like we've seen it with Drake and Kendrick. Like they want to see the beef. People want to watch UFC and see your head get kicked off. Like that's the time that we live in right now. So people want this matchup, and I don't think they want a Cinderella story in there. They want to see somebody get demolished, whether it's Russell Wilson or it's the Broncos and somebody loses by 30. Like that's what they want to see.
Yeah. What if the reason people want that now is because we took all the hitting out of football? What if that was like the release where you see people get hit? It's like back in the day, like the gladiators, like you go out there and see them like kill each other, and then everybody leaves and they're all like happy and nice and friendly and have like the Roman Empire. You know, it's like it's exactly like what if football was always the release and then we took like all of that out of football, and so people are just not getting the release. So watching UFC.
So now people like to see like 70-20.
I didn't.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can't speak to enjoying that. That was just miserable to me.
Yeah. Unfortunately, we've had a couple of those moments in Denver sports fairly recently. Okay, so we're talking about the schedule because there's a chance that it comes out later this week. But the closer or the more time goes on, the more hours that go on, the more it looks like it's going to be next week or heck, possibly the week after. In the past, it has been this first week of May. Sometimes it's the end of May. For some reason, the NFL is very secretive about this. I think they want the schedule to come out as soon as possible, but there's like hundreds of thousands, millions of combinations, trillions of combinations that could end up happening. So it takes a little while for those computers to run it. So there's still a chance that it comes out Thursday night, but if not, this conversation isn't going to change from this week to next week. So that's why we're talking about this. But I want to, Todd, you kind of hit on it.
Uh-oh.
I want to talk about, is this game the ideal week one game, or is there another week one game that the Broncos should have? Then we're also going to dive into how many primetime games the Broncos should have, which games we're excited for the most, and then also kind of get into a philosophical discussion that I know Henry and I have had on this show every year when this comes around. And I want to see, Todd, where you're at, especially from a player's perspective. Right. So let's look at this schedule, because in order to know what's the best week 1 game, you got to see who the Broncos' opponents are. And so we actually already know who the Broncos are going to play. We just don't know when they're going to play them. So the home opponents for the Broncos are the Browns, the Steelers, of course, Russ, the Falcons, the Panthers, the Colts, the Chiefs, Chargers, and Raiders. And then their home or their away opponents, which actually have one more away game this year than home game, is the Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, then the Ravens, the Bengals, the Bucks, the Saints, the Seahawks, and the Jets. So we know the home opponents. So if you're saying you want it to be Steelers, that means it's going to be a home game. Broncos have one fewer home game than away game. Do you still think that you want Russ versus the Broncos week 1? Think about it when I tell you about our friends over at Shady Rays, because that week 1 game is going to be sunny at the beginning of September. You're going to want to make sure that you have Shady Rays on for you, and we love Shady Rays. We've been rocking and rolling with them pretty much every spring and summer for a couple of years now. But also, over 300,000 people love Shady Rays. If you use the code DNVR, you're going to get 35% off polarized sunglasses. They already start at a very affordable price, and Shady Rays is going to make them even more affordable to our listeners by giving them that code DNVR for 35% off polarized sunglasses. So check them out. This is exclusive for our listeners. Go to shadyrays.com. Use that code DNVR for 35% off polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself, because it has over 5 stars from 300,000 people.
And check out our friends over at Bet365. I just pulled it up. The Nuggets are now plus 475 to win the series. So I'm going to be making more money on that.
Do you have Friday's odds?
I think they're 4-point dogs. Plus 160, up, plus 4.5 points. Yeah, I mean, made a bunch of money when they came back from down 3-1 the first time. Made a bunch of money when they came back from down 3-1 the second time. Gonna make more money again this time too. I'm curious how this is gonna go, because like if Jamal actually gets suspended, the lines might move, and so do you wait for that or do you just take it now? I'm not really sure.
Well, do you think he's gonna be suspended? If you think he's gonna be suspended, then you wait.
So.
If you don't think he's suspended, then you take it now.
Probably. Yeah.
So you don't think he'll be suspended? Todd, do you think he'll be suspended?
He shouldn't be.
Yeah.
I think you just maybe like a fine.
Yeah.
He's not really a guy that gets in a lot of trouble anyway.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah. Maybe just a fine. And it's the playoffs. Come on, guys. Not right now.
Also,
rules change in the playoffs.
Heck yeah.
I mean, we saw it in the game last night. That was just a bloodbath.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Rocky's also plus 130 today if somebody wants to make some real money. 8:40 tonight. That's a late start.
If I'm putting money on a Denver sports team this week, it's going to be the Nuggets, not the Rockies. A plus money.
Wow.
What are the
Not
Avs
the
tonight?
Avs. Plus 100.
Oh, I guess they're plus money, yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah, a whole bunch of cool things to bet on over at Bet365, so get in on that. Also, we have our promotion going where if you sign up, we're doing a bunch of giveaways. You can screenshot your active Bet365 account, a minimum $10 deposit, send it to promo@thednvr.com. When you sign up using the code DNVR365, you can get a first bet safety net offer where you can make a bet up to $2,000. If that bet loses, you get a match refund and bonus bets, or you can just do the bet and get offer where you bet $5, get $150 in bonus bets. Must be 21 or older, physically located in Colorado. Please gamble responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call or text 1-800-GAMBLER.
Let us know in the Toyota chat who you think the Broncos should play in week 1. And damn, the Toyota chat, a little feisty right now. Ivan says Henry and Ryan being at the game last night makes it even more hilarious. LMAO.
Yeah,
That's tough.
Yeah. We left like a minute and a half early. Timberwolves fans stayed till the end, which was probably a good thing. Because like I had a dream where I saw like a Timberwolves fan and just. But yeah, it was a sad time.
You made a fist.
Yeah,
I don't sign. Did you?
Which
you
again,
punch him?
like
Did
I'm
you
not
knock him
against.
out? What happened?
I'm not against the Timberwolves fans, but just when something like that happens, it's just like, well, I just want to hit somebody, and I'm usually not like a super aggressive person, but it just comes out.
That's what I was gonna say. When's the last time you just hit somebody?
I'm never so. The one time I actually did get punched
Somebody punched you?
Yeah.
In your face?
Yeah. It was in high school. So I asked this girl to prom. And there was this kid who was very much on the spectrum who had a crush on this girl for like a decade or more. And he found out and came over to my locker and just punched me in my face. And I was like, I guess I shouldn't say his name. I was like, bro, did you just punch me? And he was like, no. I was like, yes, you just did. You just punched me in the face.
Yes.
And then he just walked away. I was like, well.
You didn't punch him back?
No, I'm not punching him. I can't punch him. That's like, again, like he's not a big. I had won the situation already.
Just by taking the high road?
Yeah.
Oh, my
Yeah.
God.
So you went to prom with a black eye, like, I won.
No, he wasn't that strong. He wasn't that strong. That was a good time. Actually, I went to that prom with a concussion because we had a lacrosse game that morning.
Wow.
You were just getting beat up.
That was a different story. Yeah, that was a tough one.
I can't believe your response to getting punched in the face was asking that person if they just punched you in the face.
Yeah.
I had control of the situation. It would have been different if I didn't have control. But like when you get punched the first time and you're like, I could probably take another one of those. That's when, it's not. There was no urgency on my end.
Wow. Okay, so Todd, you still think after looking at the schedule and the Broncos opponents that Steelers coming here week 1 should be the matchup?
100%. 100%. The only other great one on there was Sean going back to New Orleans. But that's all about Sean.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's no real other players or other narratives involved.
Adam
the
Troutman.
best one.
There's like half
Revenge
the Saints
game.
team.
You know Adam Troutman wants his revenge.
Nobody's watching for that.
No Malcolm Roach revenge.
I don't think so.
Then Will Lutz hits a game winner.
But I think it's a great. I think the Steelers was the best one up there.
Yeah.
Misses. Wow, that was.
I think so too. I do think that game makes way more sense for primetime than during the day. Like I think that if you're not going to make it primetime week 1, then maybe just make it like primetime week 3 or something, because it's such a big draw. And I don't think. Like here you have like the 2 o'clock window. There's probably week 1 going to be like 4 games there. And I don't know, like you don't know who exactly is going to play, but you'd imagine like the Eagles are playing one of those, or like there's just going to be enough interesting storylines that I would almost make that the standalone because people are going to want to watch it. And I think that with those like afternoon time slots, it's a competition for views. Whereas with those primetime slots, it's just like, are you watching or not? And I think when it comes to like Russell Wilson coming back to Denver, I mean, people are going to turn that on. And so I think it might make sense. If you can't fit in primetime week 1, just do like week 2, week 3.
From a national perspective, this makes so much sense to make this Sunday night week 1, Monday night week 1, and have it be the story that national media can start building up right now leading up to this game. I think it 100% makes sense from a national perspective to have this be primetime week 1. It's not going to be the Thursday night game. The Super Bowl winner gets the Thursday night game. So it's not going to be that one, but it could be Saturday or Sunday. It could be Monday night. Even if it's not week 1 from a national perspective, you want it early in the season so that both teams are still semi-relevant and that Russell Wilson's still a starting quarterback. Because a lot of people think that Justin Fields might take that job at some point in the season.
Or even before the season.
It's
so
true.
if you're really
It's
going to
true.
schedule it, I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't expect Justin Fields to play all that well. And so if he is the quarterback week 1, there's certainly a possibility that he gets benched in the third quarter because they've scored 7 points and Russ comes in. But even if
you can't
not,
bench your starting quarterback in the third quarter of week 1.
what if you're losing to the Broncos and it looks like you should be winning? But even if Justin Fields is the starter, if you're NBC and you just get to cut to Russell Wilson on the bench 20 times during that game, that's great TV.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
Do you guys think that Bo Nix should be starting this game, or do you think it's like too much pressure? Week 1, this big narrative. If they play prime time and he doesn't perform, then everybody's like, you should have kept Russ if Russ wins, and like it's this whole narrative that he has to deal with.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
So you're saying Sean specifically, like making this decision? Do you think it's too much pressure? If Sean has that thought even cross his mind, he should have never drafted Bo in the first place.
You think so?
100%.
No, not like because he's going to struggle sometimes as a rookie quarterback. And let's just say there was a camp competition. and he wins it, but it's not like by a long shot.
Yeah.
Do you sit him week 1 and week 2?
Not. No.
You just let him play.
100%
Go out there,
let
no
him
matter
play.
what happens.
Yeah.
Yep.
Scare money
All
doesn't
right.
make money.
Yep.
All right.
Like you go win that game, all of a sudden the hype is
for sure.
crazy.
Hype is real.
But saying all of that, I don't think from a Broncos perspective they should want this in any way, shape, or form because TJ Watt. I don't want Bo Nix's first game being going up against TJ Watt.
If you can throw him to the fire no matter what, let's just throw him in the fire.
No,
Exactly.
let's make it a little easier.
I mean,
Oh, no,
let's
no,
make it a
no.
little
It's like,
easier.
I'll play the Raiders
for him.
week one with
the,
Max
the
Crosby?
prime time's not scary, but the players across the field is scary.
100%. Yeah.
No matter who he plays, they're going to have a dominant edge rusher.
Half the league does.
Half
yeah.
the league. If they do Saints the first week, it's Cam Jordan.
Exactly.
Oh, that's fine.
You got Chris Jones. You got Max. That's
All right.
fine.
Okay.
Chris John. TJ Watt is.
TJ Watt
an animal.
was.
No, is.
Okay.
He and Nick Bosa
Oh, he did have 19
are the
last
two
year.
best pass rushers in the NFL, like by far.
For sure.
Like Chris Jones is great, but interior, it's not as scary, especially where the Broncos are lined up. They're stronger on the interior. I think he's the best defensive player, arguably, that the Broncos are going to face this year. I don't think
possibly. I think possibly, but I think you're sleeping on Max Crosby as being like
Sure.
a
Yeah.
very,
No,
very talented
that's
player.
true.
And
I
I'm
think
like,
you're
yep.
sleeping on Cam Jordan being a very destructive defensive end. Like doesn't matter who they play. I think it's gonna be fun.
Exactly.
It'll be fun.
Well, and do the Chargers still have Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa?
They do, yep. Joey Bosa, who is very overrated.
Khalil
Yeah.
Mack, who had like a 6-sack game last year.
Yeah,
though.
no, I said Joey Bosa. I said Khalil Mack. Khalil Mack still can tear it up in this league. We found out last year. But yeah, I mean, there's good. Wait, you said TJ Watt was?
He had the
led
down
the
year.
NFL with
He had the
19
down year the year
sacks
before.
last
It was the
year.
year before. He
He's
only
was
led,
injured, though.
he's led
Yeah.
the NFL in 3 of the last 4 years
He's
in
good.
sacks.
Yeah.
No,
The
he's
only time he
nice.
didn't was
He's
an
nice.
injury.
Yeah.
15 sacks 4 years ago, 22 and a half sacks 3 years ago, 5.5 sacks because he got injured 2 years ago, and then 19 sacks last year.
How many did Max Crosby have?
He's on pace to potentially be better than his brother, and his brother's a 3-time defensive player of the year.
Yeah, he's
I don't
a
want
dog.
to play that guy week 1.
Well,
And then you
got
have
thrown to
Minkah
the fire.
Fitzpatrick on defense. They also got Patrick Queen from the Ravens. That defense is nice.
Yeah. But what about the offense?
But it's Bo Nix.
Yeah.
That's who I like.
I like the idea of playing bad defenses early, but like I also just want the Steelers week 1. I think that'd be a lot of fun.
It would be a lot of
Scare,
fun.
what you say? Scare money don't make no money.
Exactly.
Come on
exactly.
So, Henry, you kind of just mentioned it there. I want to get Todd's perspective. What is better if you got to choose as a player? Would you want an easy schedule, like your easy games to start the season and the hard games to finish the season? Vice versa, the hard games to start, the easy games to finish, or it just as evenly spread across the board as possible?
I'd probably say the harder games to start the season. One, because we're at our best and we're healthy. And I think everybody across the league, even if you are a good team, everybody's still trying to figure out who they're going to be that year. Because every year you change
Exactly.
the dynamic of the team and you find out who this team specifically is. The earlier you play a team, the less they have it figured out. Like playing Kansas City week 16 is harder than playing Kansas City week 2. So I would much rather play the tough teams early in the season.
I think it depends on your team too. Like I think with Bo Nix, again, like playing a couple bad defenses early, I think could really help him out. Because if you go out there and just start 0-4 and the offense doesn't look good, and you're starting to talk about whether he needs to be benched, that's a tough situation. Whereas if you're say the Ravens, like the Ravens who bring back most of their team, add Derrick Henry, but should be a pretty easy addition. Like you should feel like you can play really good football right out of the gate. And so why not, like, hey, let's take the Chiefs right here as they're kind of changing over a couple of their receivers, see if we can take them out before they're going. So I think it depends, but I think this year I would probably like to see more easy games than not early on, just so Bo can just give him a better chance to succeed.
You flipped, Henry. You
Did I?
flipped. When we had this conversation last year, I was the only one saying, let's get the hard games out of the way. If you're going to especially maybe struggle at the beginning of a season, might as well struggle and lose to the good teams so that when you figure it out midway through the season and later in the season, you're playing easy teams and they're easier wins. except for this year with a rookie quarterback. I am okay now with going up against easier teams to get Bo's confidence up a little bit, because my philosophy is typically get the harder games out of the way, especially if you're figuring new things out. I don't mind it. And I think either way, with the Broncos likely starting a rookie quarterback, you could probably spin it either way this year, whereas last year I thought, let's just get the hard games out of the way. And turns out maybe they should have had easy games to start the season because of how the season started. But Todd, I typically agree with you where you're coming from in terms of especially, like you said, playing Kansas City earlier.
Yeah.
They're going to be more figured out later. And Tom Brady, when he was with the Patriots, when they were elite, they would start the season like every other year. They'd start 1-2,
Figuring it out.
2-3, and they were still figuring it out. And that's when they were the most beatable, because then they would finish the season, winning 10 of 11 games and go into the playoffs hot. So I definitely see where you're coming from.
Yeah, and I think even for a rookie quarterback, like the year as a whole is going to be a learning curve. And so for him playing tough defenses early, he learns what he could do and not do and understand how tough defenses play. I would much rather him start like that than playing all these easy defenses, and all of a sudden he gets out and plays a tough defense. Now he's throwing picks because he's expecting holes to be there that aren't there, because now this defense is much better than what he played early in the season. And I feel like confidence is all up, especially for a rookie quarterback. You need that going into year 2. This year, we're not winning the Super Bowl, people, for anybody who's thinking that we are. This year is not our year. We're getting closer, but this year I can say is probably not our year. And I think for him, it'd be better for him to like end the year on a high note and be playing really, really good football. And even if it is against lesser competition, he feels good going into the offseason and ready to start next year, because next year is really our year to really see what we can do.
There's also like that Ravens game in Baltimore. That's one I just don't want to have in December.
No, hell no.
Like there's just a couple of those in particular where go to Baltimore in September.
Yeah.
And I know I just said they're going to be pretty sharp out of the gate. You just don't want to play that team at that point. Honestly, the Bengals, you play at Cincinnati in December. I don't mind that trip. Like a speed team like that, I don't think it's much of a benefit for them to be playing those cold weather games up there. So there are a couple individual games that matter too.
What about to start the season in Seattle, and it's the first Russell Wilson-less game of the Broncos and Seahawks career? Do you think they could really hype that one up?
No. I mean, if that's the game, it's going to be, I guess they wouldn't do 11
That would be a trash headline.
It would be like, yeah.
This game is so important because Russell Wilson is not here.
Exactly.
For the
Russell Wilson is
first
not
time
For the first
in 12 years.
This is
Russell
one of the
Wilson
15 games this week. Russell Wilson is not playing it. Yeah. No, that's going to be like the 2:00 game that's broadcast in Denver, within 100 miles of Denver, in Seattle and maybe other parts of Washington, but that's about it.
So then let's look at other games that we want to see maybe early in the season, late in the season. When do we want to see the Broncos play the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Raiders, these other games? I got to give a shout out to our friends over at Coors Light, where this weekend, I know we got a couple crummy, windy days right now, but this weekend it's going to be nice, 70s and sunny. That's when you're going to want to chill with your friends. You're going to want to chill because of the weather, and that's when you grab a Coors Light, because Coors Light is the beer that was made to chill. It's brewed cold, it's bottled cold, it's sold cold, and they even have it on their cans. You can tell when it's cold because those mountains turn blue. So when it's time for you to chill, Coors Light is the beer we reach for here at DNVR. So when you want to hit the reset, grab the beer that's made to chill. Get Coors Light delivered straight to your door with Instacart by going to CoorsLight.com/DNVR. Celebrate responsibly. Coors Company, Golden, Colorado.
Are you guys doing anything this weekend since you brought it up?
What am I doing this weekend? My wife's at a bachelorette party.
Nice.
I'm all
Wow.
alone. But actually, we have Broncos rookie minicamp, so
That's true.
Well, you guys didn't say Mother's Day, but
Mother's
what
Day,
it
of
is.
course.
And
Trying to help you guys out, throw you guys some hints, but hopefully you guys figure it out. But if you guys aren't busy this weekend and your mom's not in town, go check out our friends over at Volo Sports. It's a great place and a great way to meet people, hang out, play some cool games, activities. And right now you can get the Volo Pass. You can sign up, use code DNVR3 to get the Volo Pass, and it's a premier membership, and it's monthly. It gives members unlimited access to sports, events, and social activities every night of the week. And right now, it is only $10 a month for the first 3 months. So you don't want to miss out on this. You can download the Volo app. You can sign up, use code DNVR3 to get your Volo pass for only $10 a month for the first 3 months.
What are you doing this weekend, Todd?
I am doing something nice for my mom.
Wow.
Man.
Because it's Mother's Day. That's what you're supposed to do. And then I'm taking my wife on a little trip.
Wow.
Somewhere. So
Wow.
She doesn't know, but she watches the show, so I can't disclose that
Oh,
information.
Wait, does she
okay.
know you're going on a trip?
She knows she's going
Okay,
somewhere. She doesn't know
okay.
where
So you
she's
just
going,
didn't
though.
spoil it right
Nope.
there.
I just said
Okay.
pack your bags and then we're leaving.
Wow.
You know?
Damn. You're just taking care of all the moms.
Hey, I'm not no Zach Wilson, but I do what I can.
Yeah, big day for Zach Wilson coming up.
We should ask him what his favorite holiday is.
Oh, yeah. We're
He says
good.
Mother's
said-
Day.
Oh, there's no way he's going to be there this weekend, right?
That would, I don't know.
think so.
Oh, that's
I think he's
hilarious.
probably a little too big time for this week. If he's there, though. It's like,
You
hey,
think
any
Zach
plans for
Wilson's
Mother's
big
Day?
time?
I feel like if it's going to be like Danucci and Matoka as the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think there's...
It just
Enough.
reminds me of what Todd would say. If Zach Wilson was not a first-round pick, he would not be too big time for this.
No.
But he was a first-round pick, so he is too big time for this.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Just a
how
first-round
many players who, like, started games in the NFL show up to rookie minicamp? It's not a
very
bunch.
rare.
Yeah.
You get a couple guys like get to a new team and like want reps, so they ask to go. But it's usually like fringe guys,
Yeah.
guys trying to make the roster. Not too many starters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's one guy that's played in like 70 games. He's played 7 years in the NFL. I don't think he started. I don't remember who it is. Summers, maybe?
Yes. TJ Summers?
Yeah. Actually, I think he's an inside linebacker.
He is. Ran a
Yeah.
4.51. He's like a special teams guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's going to be there.
Little competition for Justin Sternad.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, so speaking of competition, let's look at the schedule again. Anything else?
Oh, one more thing. Alex Gubner, my guy from
Yeah.
Montana, he's coming to Broncos minicamp. He was crazy. It's like Big Sky Defensive Player of the Year, unanimous All-American, all that sort of stuff. He was supposed to be like the top Big Sky player in the draft. Nobody from the Big Sky got drafted. And then, like, I think 2 other Grizzlies wound up getting undrafted contracts. He somehow didn't get one. And so I think he's a steal. Like, he's undersized at like 288 pounds for a defensive tackle, but he's a freak. Like, he just gets in the backfield. He had 4 picks as a freshman, as a defensive tackle.
Interceptions?
Yeah.
Wow.
No, he's a monster, so I'm excited.
I do have to say that's how I knew that we were rebuilding. Like
Oh, okay. There
once we
we
started getting guys from Montana, I'm like,
There
all
we
right,
go.
we're rebuilding for
There
sure.
we go. Yep.
Sac State guys would have shown you you're going for the Super Bowl.
Oh, we're going for it all,
Yeah.
baby. You know?
Yeah.
So next year,
I'm
is when
sure.
they get those guys.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, right
for
on.
sure.
I'm sure.
So, Alyssa, if you wouldn't mind pulling up the schedule for us, what else do you guys want to see here? Todd, you mentioned playing the Chiefs early. Is that something you would like? Is get both games out of the way as early as possible?
Yeah, for the Chiefs, I feel like we do best as a team, the Broncos, when we play them like week 7 and week 9. So although it'd be easy to play the Chiefs easier, when we could play them back to back, I think we do a better job of winning that second game because we kind of understand them a little bit better. And I don't know if we'll be ready that early. So
I like
Yeah.
that. I can totally buy that, especially you just look at last year. Broncos had the most success playing that second game, what, in 3 weeks span?
yep, something like that.
Yeah. No, I think having them close together makes sense. It's like that's that thing they always say, like, it's tough to beat a team twice.
Yep.
So, like, just make it feel like it's just almost a little series right there. I also wouldn't mind playing them kind of early just because that game always seems to like loom over the season where you're just like, okay, they're 4-5. Like if they get hot, they can make things happen. You know, you do have 2 games left against the Chiefs. That's going to make it tough. Like just not having that kind of hanging over everything would feel kind of nice.
What about the Panthers to open up the season? If you take that Steelers game away, the Panthers to open up the season, or is that too risky because there's like nothing to gain and everything to lose?
You should be able to show up and beat
Or like
them.
week
I
1 or
think
week
so.
2, like really early in the season.
Yeah.
That, like with this offensive line you've built, you should be able to hand the ball off 30 times in that game and win.
I'm hopeful that we
No
can do
offense
that.
to Josie, who I just realized is out there, but
Yeah,
again, we've
it's
seen
true.
it. That
He's
we
gonna
have
be
years
ready.
of data. We have
he will.
Josie
He's gonna be
trying
ready.
his best.
And that'll be in Denver, too. So Josie's return to Denver.
Primetime?
I'm confident enough in this team. But let's say it is week 1 and they lose at home to the Panthers. Oh, boy. Fans are going to be losing their mind.
Scared money doesn't make money.
There you go.
It's the truth.
It's the truth.
Yeah.
What about the Jets? Nathaniel Hackett. Is there anything left with Nathaniel Hackett and the Broncos because Russ isn't here?
No, I think you won that. Sad to say, but I think you won. I think it's over. I think the players say what they need to say after the game. And he did it with Zach Wilson and a not very good offense at the time and made them look pretty good as a whole as far as the offense. And then now he's going to be with Aaron Rodgers and new talent and a talented wide receiver. Like, I don't expect us to win this game. You know what I'm saying? Anything can happen. But if they win now, it's like it's Aaron Rodgers.
Right. I think that's a game I want kind of late. Just because, first of all, because Aaron Rodgers is old as hell, and the odds that he's still on the field in Week 15, I'm probably more likely than not, but that possibility is very much on the table. And also, I don't look at that Jets team as like a super talented, overwhelmingly good group. Like, you look at what they did last year, it's like they're solid. You're really banking on Aaron Rodgers being a huge jump forward. And at this point in his career, I mean, he was 8-8 with the Packers a couple years ago, and then they bring in Jordan Love, and it's the same thing. Like, I'm not super scared, and I think they might have like a little bit of magic early, a little hype, but they might kind of they might feel pretty defeated by December if they're sitting there at even like 8-7, you know? 7-6.
Man, I hope that's the case because I view the Jets as winning that division, kind of running away with it, and
over the Bills.
Yeah, over the Bills.
Okay,
the Bills had just tore their team down more than the Broncos tore their team down.
Yep. And who the Jets drafted in the first round? Was it a tackle or was it?
Yep. I think Olu, right? I think.
Yeah.
I think it was him.
Yeah.
I think the Jets are going to be as long as Aaron stays healthy, and obviously last year he played in 4 snaps, and then got hurt. So that is a big if for the Jets. Right now, I mean, I might put them in the AFC Championship game.
Really?
What do we have, Todd?
It got me.
Got me too. I love 2 more games I want to ask you guys about. The Raiders. Broncos now have the longest losing streak to the Raiders of any team in the AFC West after beating the Chiefs last year. Is this one that you want to get out of the way to snap that losing streak, or does the losing streak not matter when the game comes?
The losing streak matters. So I want us to be at our best. So maybe like week 10.
For the first game.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll have it figured out and then play them again like week 16.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to play them early and just continue this streak. Gardner Minshew is a veteran quarterback, so you can't, you know what I'm saying? He's going to be better than a rookie right now. And just the team, like, they started finding their stride as a defense. Yeah, I want to be a little bit more prepared for that game. I'll play the Chargers early. I'll play the Chargers super early.
Because of all the new components they have?
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I love to play the Chargers early and see what they got. See what they're doing. See what they're running. See, you know what I'm saying, who they're as a team. Are they now a power team with Harbaugh?
Right.
Are they still trying to air it out a little bit with Herbert? Like, what are they doing?
So wouldn't you kind of want to play them later to know what they're doing?
Yes, you would want to know like on film, but I think for us, we need to feel it. You know what I'm saying? Because I think if we play them week 5, like, okay, you should have a good understanding for who they are as a team. And then, like, now we got to go, you know what I'm saying, see what it feels like to play this team now.
And they don't know what they are. Like, they show up, and for the first time ever, the Chargers are, like, running the ball every day. Like, just get them before they're in a rhythm.
Yeah. And I think just because the scheme changes, that mentality of that locker room takes a little bit longer. So even though you turn them into a power running team on paper, it doesn't mean they're going to be a power running team and really smash mouth football.
And the Broncos as a power running team themselves, it'd be nice to just run all over them and stuff their run game early on in the season.
Yep.
You might get them all fired up later, but
their run defense was awful last year.
And the year before,
and the Chargers, so they might take a couple of years to turn that around. And they really focus on their offensive line this year. So when it comes to division, is the ideal setup to play Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders in that order? Not necessarily like week 1, 2, and 3, but get the Chiefs off the board right away.
I think Chargers, Raiders, Chiefs back to back, and then You go Raiders, Chargers.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. That's the ideal AFC West setup for the Broncos. And then the one other game that I want to touch on, and we've touched on it already, but is the Saints. Does it matter where this game is? Because this really only truly really impacts one guy, but it's the second most important person in your organization outside of maybe the quarterback for your team with Sean Payton. And there are probably going to be 10 other former Saints on this team, but no real guys in major roles.
For me as a player, I would want this game to be like the middle of December because it's cold, but you're playing in a dome. So that's one game you don't have to worry about. Plus, maybe somewhere around Christmas time. Don't have to be a Christmas Day game, but I just think New Orleans is going to be the most festive then. That's probably a trip that you bring all your family. I feel like that'd be the funnest as a player to go down to New Orleans and win a game.
Yeah. I mean, I think that makes sense to play them in December just to save a cold weather game. I also think...
Even though the Broncos should be a cold weather team?
I don't... I just don't want that. It just makes things weird.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you guys.
Like
really
if it's that
here.
or the Ravens, then you want that.
It's not I wouldn't consider us a cold weather team. We play outside.
Yeah.
And it gets cold sometimes, but it's not I think
Chiefs are colder.
Chiefs, Bills,
Cincinnati,
Ravens, Green Bay. I think those are
yeah.
I wouldn't even want to
right.
go there.
You're right. And honestly, thinking off the top of my head, how many true cold weather games the Broncos have had in the last 5 years? Maybe 3 that are really uncomfortable to be at, but 3 out of, tons, 50 almost, isn't that much. So that's totally fair.
I truly think God loves the Broncos. Everybody talks about the orange and the blue, but if you talk about our games, it could be snowing all Friday, all Saturday, and then Sunday, 1:30, the sun comes out and everything melts, and we're playing.
I hate that, though. I love snow games. I don't like cold games, but I mean, it's easy for me to say I'm not hitting people. I hated when I played high school football when it was snowing and cold. That was the worst ever. But watching it, I love the snow games.
Yeah.
You didn't prefer them?
It's just your hands start to hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Nose starts running.
Back
you start apologizing about missing tackle. All of a sudden,
wiping snot, trying to breathe.
Other people's snot is getting on you.
Akeem's telling you that. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Also, it's really sad looking at the Saints team. Their starting receivers, Chris Olave, good player, with A.T. Perry and Rashid Shaheed. They signed Equinemius St. Brown as a backup. Cedric Wilson as a This is going to be the year they finally just suck, I think.
Yeah. When you say that, though, about their receiving group, I think, is that much different than the Broncos? Chris Olave is better than any receiver the Broncos have.
Probably. No, I mean, that's... I'm not in love with, the Broncos receiver group in terms of what they're going to do this year.
You know who that kind of reminds me of?
Long term, they're fun.
Maybe even... The Saints might be even better than the Chargers receiver group, though. Chargers receiver group is tough.
Yeah, there's banking on the young guys getting better, but
it's a risky thing to do.
Yeah, it used to be. It used to be receivers.
Last year kept dropping crucial passes.
That's the thing, is that it used to take receivers a long time to become themselves, but then all of a sudden Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase and they're 2019 and 2020 class. So many guys just took off quickly, and ever since receivers have just been good to go right away.
7 on 7, man.
7 on 7, yeah.
That much is changing the game. I see kids going to my son's tournaments. I'm like, these kids look like grown men. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you're catching the ball, playing football year round now. We only play football in the fall, and then we're playing all these other sports. And so you got these guys that are super talented, super athletic, that have done one-on-one fade balls. You know what I'm saying? By the time they get done with high school, they've done it 300 times.
Yeah.
So now they're getting into college, they're super polished, and then the NFL is just they're ready to go.
Yep. The next Jerry Jeudy's, they're ready to route run.
Yep, for sure.
Do you guys trust Jim Irsay? We have a little Jim Irsay report on this topic that we're talking about. You put any weight into this? I'm going to ask you about it after I tell you about our friends over at Illegal Pete's. Illegal Pete's, I have gone there, I think, 3 straight weeks now, and I've got a burrito. I've got the nachos. I've got The quesadillas and all of them are the best that you can get out there. And, of course, you got to get the queso when you're getting these because the queso is the best. The margs are the best every single time I've got a marg. And you can also, do so many different flavors for your margs. Spicy marg with the tahini rim, that's the way to go. So check out our friends over at Illegal Pizza. If you're in Colorado Springs, they now have a location in the Springs, located in the heart of downtown Colorado Springs. You got to go there. I want to give a shout out to our guy Space Bar, who stopped by. People who have been watching this show and listening to this show for a long time know he's an OG. We got to meet him and his wonderful family yesterday, and he's actually staying right now. He's from Ireland. He's staying with some family in the Springs, and he said, man, I tried to go to Illegal Pete's, but we just weren't able to make it in our time in Denver. And I said, well, they just opened one up in Colorado Springs. You got to go check it out because if you live here, you know about Illegal Pete's. And if you visit here, it's a place you got to go for happy hour, for lunch, for dinner, for drinks. So check them out, whether in Colorado Springs, Denver, Boulder, Fort Collins, anywhere in Colorado. Illegal Pete's is the place for burritos, buddies, and beer.
And shout out to Premier Members Credit Union. If you guys are working on building your credit, starting a family, buying a house, buying cars, and you really want to get the best deal, check our friends out at Premier Member Credit Union. They're not a bank, which means they do things a little differently, like putting their members first with higher savings, interest, and lower loan rates. And if you know right now, rates are like at 7-8%. If you can get a lower rate, you definitely want to be able to do that. So go check out our friends. And right now, when you become a new member at PMCU, you'll get $200. You just have to open a checking account and sign up for e-statements. It's that easy. This will be your best money move yet. Head to becomepremier.com to find out more.
Jim Irsay just tweeted 7 minutes ago, I smell a 2024 schedule coming out soon, ...
I'm surprised he can still smell anything.
Wow. Oh, my goodness.
That's a big jab.
I
gotta
thought that was a
Google
good
this
one.
guy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's one of those things where whenever Jim Irsay says something, you just don't believe it, but also he's an NFL owner, so he would know.
Yeah,
so yeah, if he's saying it, then
if anyone does get notified, like, hey, this Thursday at 6 p.m. the schedule is going to be released.
Exactly.
He's probably like one of the first to find out, at least in the Colts organization, right? So maybe we actually do find out this week what week one is going to be like.
I wish they would just say, given that we're 2 days away, just
it's
like
really stupid that they don't. I completely agree with you. So let's get into our Bet365 top 5 games we're most excited for the Broncos this year. Is the one that we've talked about the most today? Is it Russell Wilson coming back to Denver?
Yeah, I think that's a good one.
I
That's
think
the
so
best
too.
one on the schedule right
yeah.
now.
I think so. Without a doubt, I think I would definitely go with Steelers at home, regardless of when it is. I think that's the game that's going to have the most hype. Just like the Jets had a ton of hype last year, just like the Seahawks the year before, Russ's first year with the Broncos, and it happened to be the first week of the season. The past, I guess, 2 years ago, that game was put as the first game of the season. So now, after that, what other games entice us the most? Which ones are we most excited for?
Chargers games for sure.
Why
with
so?
Jim Harbaugh being there.
From like a Broncos perspective at all? Like in terms of the Broncos wanted him to be their coach
the
last
matchup?
year? Clearly.
Oh no, I didn't think of that.
Okay.
More so, it's just like it's Sean Payton versus Jim Harbaugh. Which sounds like a lot of fun.
The characters that you get on both sides.
And it's a divisional game. But I mean, there aren't a bunch. Like, I don't think the Saints game is all that interesting, even though it's like a revenge game for Sean. It just doesn't get me going. You look through the
actual
others,
players,
like the Browns. I feel like that's always like a good grimy game, but there's really no storyline there. Like Jerry Jeudy, but that's not.
Oh, Jerry Jeudy's return to Denver.
I mean, get like
If he drops a pass, do you think the crowd is going to let him hear it?
Yeah.
Yep, without a doubt.
Yeah.
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 I think so too. If he scores a touchdown, what's his celebration going to be like? That's exactly what it's going to be. You nailed it. Let's just hope it doesn't come on Pat Surtain, but I'm not worried about that. I think Pat will lock him down. Yeah, I mean, the Browns, that doesn't do much for me, kind of like you're saying, Henry. The Falcons?
I mean,
Michael Penix Jr., Todd, your guy will be here?
Yeah, I don't think he'll be playing.
No.
But I think it'll be a good game. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. I'd love to see what the Falcons come up with. We'll see if like Kirk is still like frustrated about them drafting Penix if it like plays into his play, but I think it'd be a good game. I wish that wasn't an away game because that would be one I want to go to.
Yeah,
have some good food, hang out,
exactly.
you know what I'm saying?
That's
That would
like
be
that's
good.
your team.
The flip side of it, though.
That's not my team. Not at all.
The Falcons.
It's your second team.
A
Well, or
little
your
off
third
topic,
team.
but
If you're putting your teams, your NFL teams, Broncos would be one, obviously.
For sure.
Who's two?
What
Your first or your last
do you mean?
team?
My number 2 team in the league?
What do you think I was talking about?
No, you said your first and your last. I don't even know. Like I don't even think about other teams like that.
That's good. That's a really good answer for your wife too.
Hey, it's true. I don't really. This is the only team I'm thinking about. I'm locked in. Just signed a 4-year extension. I'm not even worried about.
talk to me in the contract here. Also, but like Justin Jefferson not having Kirk Cousins is gonna be kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Because like right now he's the all-time yards per game receiving leader with 98.3. Calvin Johnson's second with 86. Like if Justin Jefferson
Wait, like ever? Wow.
If Justin Jefferson keeps putting up those numbers without Kirk, all of a sudden, like he's just the best receiver. And
Yes.
Jerry Rice's numbers are all skewed because he played so long and they kind of tailed off. But like he's a top 2 receiver to me if he like.
what was Jerry's yards per game?
So he was at 75.6, but
75.
at his peak, so there was a 3-year stretch where it was 93.9, 93.7, 115.5.
The quarterback matters too
Wow.
much, though. I think there has to be a fall off.
I think so.
Because I think I look
so.
at guys like DeAndre Hopkins. If DeAndre Hopkins had a top 5 quarterback, top 10 quarterback, he'd probably be a top 10 receiver all the time. Like he was
Probably.
that good. But the quarterback position is too important. And every single quarterback, every single wide receiver you just listed have phenomenal quarterbacks.
Yep.
So you go from Kirk Cousins, who was, pretty dang good, to a rookie now. I think there has to be some kind of fall off.
The thing is, if he puts up like 100 yards per game this year,
It's crazy.
either A, he's quarterback proof,
Yeah.
so it just doesn't matter, or B, JJ McCarthy was good,
Right.
and he's going to have JJ McCarthy for the rest of his career, so these
Yeah.
numbers are sustainable.
Yeah.
Who's
so
like
this is the big year for him.
right now, or maybe last year, who was the best quarterback or who's the best receiver without a quarterback?
So you start with like
Like we were just talking about the
Tyreek
Browns.
Hill, Jamar Chase.
Whoa.
Well, they
You
have
said without a
quarterbacks.
quarterback.
They have-
Talking
but like,
about.
who are the best quarterbacks or receivers? So then Justin Jefferson would be DeAndre Hopkins. There's like a conversation.
You can't sleep on Mike Evans, too. He's been putting up
True.
numbers no matter who's his
Depends on
quarterback.
who you think
with Baker,
Baker is.
yeah. Well, and even before Tom, that's fair.
Yep.
I mean, last year Amari Cooper, he had 4 different quarterbacks.
Yeah.
He still put up like
He hasn't
put
had a
numbers.
quarterback in a long
1,300
time.
yards.
No,
or
he just had
something.
Dak not too long ago.
I guess that feels like a long time. I guess was that only 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Only 2 years, yeah.
Yeah.
But before that, with the Raiders, he didn't have anybody.
Derek Carr was on a tear.
I mean, but yeah, like if you're calling Mike Evans and Baker, like what's the difference between
I think
Derek Carr?
Carr's career has been much better than Baker's.
For sure. I think so too.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, he's also older, right? He's 3 years older, 2 years older.
Yeah.
Baker put together 2 years. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Terry McLaurin is a good one thrown out. DJ Moore. DJ Moore's a really good one.
Yeah,
It's a
Thrown
solid
out
one.
in the chat there. So actually, there are some receivers, but you're right.
Devontae
when
Adams.
when that type of receiver gets with a good quarterback,
Yep.
that's when they just take off.
Yeah.
That's when they absolutely take off. So it will be interesting to see Justin Jefferson there. Man, the last time, I don't even want to bring it up, so I'm not going to. Panthers at home. That one is about as
That's a snoozer.
boring. Yeah, it's a home game, so home games are never 11 a.m., but that would be an 11 a.m. game.
I bet you can find somebody like nationally who would tell you that is the least interesting game in the NFL this season.
Dang.
I bet somebody
don't
would
think
say
you're
that.
wrong. Yep.
It's pretty close, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Colts at home. Now that doesn't
No.
have much of a buzz, and then
To me,
obviously
it's the
AFC
divisional
West
games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
and
unless you want to make a case for like the Ravens or the Bengals.
I just, what's the extra appeal to those games? Just that it's a measuring stick
If
for the
you
Broncos?
win, then all of a sudden you might be a good team.
Yeah.
But again, you could say the same thing about the Chiefs.
What about the Bucks?
And that has
might
more.
be the only team we haven't talked about.
I think there's a reason for that.
Is that kind of up there with the Panthers?
Like they're just they're a 9-8, 10-7 type of team in the NFC. Like it's just kind of a meaningless game. Like if there was one game to lose next year, that might be the game.
It's NFC.
Or just like it just doesn't really matter.
NFC road games are literally, when it comes to like standings and tie breaks and everything, those are the least valuable games.
Yeah.
So that would be the Seahawks, the Saints, and the Bucks.
Yeah.
Those are the least valuable games.
This is tricky.
So where are we going with number 2, Todd? What game jumps out to you? And Hank.
Maybe we just leave like number 2 and 3 blank.
Raiders at home.
To emphasize.
Raiders or Chargers at home, I feel like will be exciting because those feel like games we can win, and they're divisional games. And they're always tough. They always come down to the wire. And I want to see what those teams look like. And I feel like we have potential to win them. So for me, I'll probably say Raiders and Chargers at home, however we want to put it.
Well, how would you put it? I know how I'd put it.
Dang. I would say Chargers
tricky.
and Raiders.
You'd say Chargers, Raiders?
I would always go Raiders just because it's the Raiders. Like that. Honestly, every year that should be the most exciting game. But given all the change with the Chargers, I'm more excited to see the Chargers this year.
That's why
The Raiders are
changed
just
my
boring.
mind.
So we're going Chargers number 2 because you guys have put them there. In terms of a team that I want to see, I do want to see the Chargers and see what they look like with Harbaugh. But, man, that streak against the Raiders. Remember how Sean last year was asked so many times about different streaks that the Broncos had that they had overcome. And he always said, that's not my streak. That's not my hump to overcome.
That's not my hump.
Yeah,
That's what he said.
That's not my hump. And he'd point to like, no, that was not my team last year. There's a lot of guys that weren't on that team last year. Okay, Sean, this Raiders one is now your hump. It's now a hump to get over because now you've lost to the Raiders twice. I know you haven't been a part of the 10-game losing streak, but if they lose to the Raiders, that's 3 losses on Sean Payton's plate. 1 to Josh McDaniels, 1 to an interim head coach, and then this year it would be to the permanent head coach who was the interim head coach last year. But it would be to Aiden O'Connell or
Gardner
Minshew. And, hey, I think Gardner is a great bridge quarterback. But he's still a bridge quarterback. That's what he's been. That's what he was last year for Anthony Richardson. That's what he's going to be this year to either Aiden O'Connell or to a rookie they draft next year. Man, that would be bad. So that's why I have the Raiders so close to the Chargers, because of that hump.
The scary thing about that is until our guys prove it, there's still a better quarterback room.
Yeah,
which is sad. Until we get on the field and prove it, you know what I'm saying?
No, you're right. I can't say that any of the Broncos quarterbacks right now are better than Gardner Minshew. No, Jared Stidham has 8 touchdowns and 8 interceptions in his career. Zach Wilson has 23 touchdowns, 25 interceptions in his career. Gardner Minshew, I don't know off the top of my head, but I think he's close to a 3-1 touchdown.
I pulled it up.
Oh, what is it?
Because this was a tweet that was going around. So 59 touchdowns, 24 interceptions.
Okay, 2-1.
90.2 passer rating. For perspective, he's played 49 games. Trevor Lawrence has played 50. Lawrence is 58-39 compared to 59-24. 90 pass rating for Minshew, 85 for Trevor Lawrence. That's why that graphic was going around.
That's fascinating.
There's also like a reel of like just dropped touchdown passes from the Jags last year.
Didn't the Jags move on from Gardner once they got Trevor too?
They did.
Interesting.
It is interesting.
So man, you're absolutely right, Todd. Now the question's different if you say which quarterback room would you rather have for the future.
For sure, absolutely.
Then you sell yourself on Bo Nix, and I would probably take Bo Nix for the Broncos. But right now, week 1, who would I want if I had to have a must-win game? Probably going Gardner. Yeah. Damn.
I mean, I compared Bo Nix to Gardner so many times before the draft. But like, it's honestly kind of a toss-up.
Yeah. Man. All right, let's round
For
this out.
week 1, it's a toss-up.
Are the Chiefs anywhere on this list? Because honestly, once they got that win, I just kind of want to ride on the 1-game win streak and don't really need to
just
see the
never
Chiefs
play him again.
Yeah,
I'm not
okay
really
with
like
that.
that.
I'm okay
Scared
with that.
money doesn't make money. Like, here's the thing: if when the Chiefs come in here, imagine a world in which the Broncos start like 3-1, like they beat the Steelers, the Panthers, and like whatever else. They're 3-1 going into that game. You've got Mahomes coming here. The hype is going to be insane. Because if you win that game, all of a sudden you're 4-1 with a win over Mahomes. Like, you're off and running. That's why I'm excited. Because it's a chance for, like, Bo Nix to start a new thing. For me, again, the odds are so slim.
For me, it's like we beat y'all. Like, we'll play y'all when we play y'all. You know what I'm saying? It's like when you play like a Madden or a 2K tournament and your boy wants a rematch after you win. You're like, I play you when I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'll see you when I see you.
Yep.
So yeah, I personally wouldn't go Chiefs anywhere on this list.
Okay.
I would probably put the Saints at 5, just because like we're looking for storylines.
Yeah,
we're looking for something. Like Sean's a guy that can say some crazy stuff, and maybe he says some crazy stuff leading up to that game to give it a little more juice.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I think they're gonna build a statue of him in New Orleans, you know. So I don't think he's gonna go out there and like fire them all up. I don't think that they have a lot of hatred. I think there's definitely some bitterness because of the way it ended, but that's just typically the way things end. So I don't expect much out of that. I think there'll be a tribute video and everybody's gonna like cheer for him. So it isn't like the Russell Wilson situation where it's like hatred.
Right.
It's more of like a happy
So it's more
get together.
the Peyton Manning going back to Indianapolis.
Yeah,
When he
exactly.
did that, and they knew that Peyton didn't like the dome open, so they opened the dome for that game. And then they gave him the standing ovation plus a video tribute, and Peyton's crying right before the game, and it clearly messed with him in the game. You think that's the route the Saints take?
Yeah.
You think Sean's going to get emotional before the game? He's there
No.
for 15 years. He helped the city a
I
lot.
just can't picture it. Oh, he absolutely did. Like, I bet if you wanted to, you could find some crazy stats about like his winning seasons versus the all-time. Because remember, like Archie Manning, that was their golden era. What did we say? He went to the playoffs once, or he never went to the playoffs? I think he went to the
One of
playoffs
those,
once.
Yeah.
So I mean, like that was their golden era.
I mean, yeah, in the Super Bowl, like shortly after Katrina, like that was huge for the
Yeah,
city.
absolutely.
Like, amazing.
Yeah.
Like it's to me, New Orleans is Sean Payton, Drew Brees, and Lil Wayne, and that's just
That's
that's just what it is. Yeah, Chris Paul almost, but things didn't really work out.
Man, if we get Sean Payton crying before the game,
I just can't picture it.
I
don't
can't
see him as
either.
a cry
I just
either.
can't picture it.
either.
Like I don't think that's happening.
So is this actually 4? Or do we have one that,
no, we
that
got
we're
we
looking
could throw
for
one in
excited
there.
for?
Throw the
more?
Chiefs in there.
I like
Chiefs.
Chiefs. I'm excited
Okay,
for the Chiefs.
Let's throw the Chiefs in there.
And I'm not gonna lie, there's a part of me that wants to see Bo Nix go to Arrowhead and win. I just have a tougher time seeing him actually winning that game. That's why I'm more excited for the home game.
Yeah. So all home games in the division, Steelers, and then at the Saints. That's going to do it for our Bet365 Top 5. And that's going to do it for our show today. Stay tuned to social media today on all of our Twitters, DNVR_Broncos on Twitter as well, for any updates on if the schedule is going to be released this week. And if it is, we've got a special show planned for you. But we will be back tomorrow, 11 a.m. Thank you all so much for rolling with us. Hit us with a thumbs up on the way out. We'll see you tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.